Ooh, welcome. All right. Here it is. I'm Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's the 17th. Is that it? Wow. 17th of October, 2023. And I'm coming to you from Marion, Michigan. Love Marion, Michigan. Our homestead here is called Baker's Green Acres. And I'm your host, and I am the sole proprietor of Baker's Green Acres. Well, not really. Not the sole proprietor. I don't even know what that would mean. So it's Tuesday. Let's see. We got Sean Wise with us. We got Keith with us. Keith Sutton. Satansky. That's his Polish name. All right. So it's Tuesday. I've been hitting it hard lately. David Duncan's with us. And I would like to thank David Duncan for a contribution, sort of like a super chat, only he didn't do it over the super chat button that you all have there. He sent it because he didn't want to give YouTube some of the money. So I appreciate that, David. Thanks a lot. Life is going good here. It seems like we're always up against something. There's always something going on. Excuse me. Belva's with us. We've got Homestead Hog Harvest coming up the 4th, 5th, and 6th, I believe, of November. Yeah, let's see here. November, it's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, November. It's going to be our 13th year, so lucky year, I guess. And this is this show tonight will be brought to you by the Homestead Hog Harvest. And this year we will be working in our new facility, so it's going to be real nice. The Ghost is with us. Right on. How's it going, everyone? Great. The show tonight is sponsored by the Anyone Can Farm Tribe and the Homestead Hog Harvest, which is coming up. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm trying to get, the Cleric's with us. Right on. Be seeing them this weekend. They're having a meet and greet down at their homestead in Trufant, Michigan. If you haven't signed up, it's too late. Is that right? You got a full boat, I hope. Hope they have some good food. I'm looking forward to that, though. That's always fun to go meet up with other homesteaded type people and just hang out for the day. Let the kids play and talk, and just nice. It's just really nice. Luckily, we're getting our car back tomorrow, the Pilot. It went on the fritz last Friday. And so I called John Spears, the Friday before last Friday. So he's had it for a week and a few days, but they had to get parts for it. So it's fixed, and I'm picking it back up tomorrow, or somebody is. So we'll be able to go down to Trufant. We were thinking we'd have to take the 2-ton dump truck down there. That wouldn't be too good of a ride. Yeah, we're at full capacity. It'll be fun. Oh, great. That's what the Cleric's saying. They got a full boat. Great. All right, so we had a bit of a struggle coming up with a subject for tonight. And have you noticed how every time something happens, something happens, it sort of over the last thing. You ever notice that? And it has a tendency, and I brought this up the day before yesterday. I did a live video. I was working on something, and I thought, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this feeling of oppression, like there's really something bad going on someplace. And so the latest thing everybody knows, all right, I talked about it last week, how to, bring our love preparedness up. And I almost want to say to you that I'm sorry I did that, because I was buying into it. I was buying into it. And not to say that the horrible things that we've heard about taking place in the Middle East didn't happen. I'm not saying that. I have no way of knowing that they did. I study it sometimes, and then I like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to spend my time on this. And it's a fine line between apathy and concern. It really is. Like, um, should we be praying for Israel? Should we be praying for Palestine? The poor, these guys, and the poor, these guys, um, and it's sort of like the people in Hawaii, what they went through with, and you hear these peripheral stories of, these evil entities within our own government, supposedly, that are, uh, using laser beams to burn everybody out, and Oprah's behind it, and The Rock's behind it, and all these stories. And it's hard to know. And they show you the photos of the burns, and who knows if they're doctored. We don't know anymore. And you think, well, that's terrible. And then you think, well, I better get some blue tarps to put on my barn, because laser beams don't burn blue tarps. All this constantly. It's been going on for quite a while. I think it always did, but the frequency of it has been increased. And then as you watch it, this is something that I'm guilty of. I watch it and I say, hey, wait a minute. There's no way the Israeli Defense Force would stand down for enough time for those thugs to come through and do their dirty work and go back. There's no way. So until we get that straightened out, so that's the angle of trutherism that I was taking, right? And because it was consistent with what happened on 9/11. They were even calling it Israel's 9/11. They're saying, oh, it's Israel's 9/11. And my question was, I worked for the agency that was supposed to secure the skies over the United States, and we didn't do it that day. So why not? Let's answer that first, and then we'll blame some guy in a tunnel over in Afghanistan, right? But even that, if we spent time tonight talking about, well, I don't think they did it, I think these guys did it, and on and on and on we go, I guess it's something to talk about. But at the end of the day, is it increasing your mission? Are you fulfilling your mission? For a long time, I would say, I don't know why, but I just feel optimistic. And I was kind of glomming on to this, President Trump's going to get elected and then everything will be fine. And when I would try to communicate that, I would be saying to myself, I'm sorry, I don't know if I believe that. That doesn't sit right in my gut. I don't get a gut check on that. But I still felt optimistic, right? And I still do feel optimistic. Now, where does my optimism come from? And I've been doing a lot of study, trying to figure out, as the leader of this household, what is the best direction to go. I've been working on my own mental health. I've been working on that. How do I integrate myself into this society and be productive. How do I do that? It's not, you don't just, it doesn't just happen. You've got to make decisions constantly. I mean, I have to decide what I'm going to put on in the morning. It used to be I didn't have to decide. I either am wearing uniform A or uniform B. That's it. That was the only decision. And they both the same. It's just, this is the one, that's got this particular faded pattern on it, and this one has this faded pattern. And I'll be getting a new one soon because this one's getting too faded. So all that to say, there's a lot of garbage out there. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of people that we listen to that have a lot of things to say. I heard Glenn Beck today, and it was somebody from Tribe sent it to me, and he showed a short video. I didn't actually see the video because I was listening to it, and I didn't particularly want to see it, but I guess it was bad, but the other day I was talking about pathways, because believe it or not, I have a bit of an anger side. I've got an angry side, and a lot of times I'm not patient and I'm not very gracious. Believe it or not, you guys wouldn't see that, but my family sees that. And I've had to many times say, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to do that. And so this whole idea of schizophrenia comes up. It's almost like a split personality. He's real nice sometimes, but then he turns into a beast other times. And the pathways of that aggressive behavior were pathways that I fostered for a long time, because being aggressive and short and precise and impatient were good things at one point in my life. I could get things done, but it doesn't necessarily work with my family, and that's not what I'm supposed to be doing with my family. Anyway, those pathways to that anger and shortness and all that stuff really had to be dealt with. I had to stop those pathways. And okay, but what are you going to replace it with? So I think that all the negative stuff that is sent at you constantly, and if you're listening to me now, you probably have one of these. And when you turn it on in the morning to see what the news is, or what the weather is, well, what do you know? You find out all kinds of stuff that aren't necessarily going to help you in what you've got to do for the day. We got a message. Got a message here from Parker Holmes. Okay. And so the other day I was thinking about that, and I had a lot to do. I'm working on a high rail, is what I would call it, and it's a big beam outside of the barn, outside of the processing area, and I'm going to build a rail on there so that I can winch beef up onto it, and I can get them spun, and then I can let them hang there for a few days and things like that. It would be a completely different area, but it's adjacent to the butcher shop, so it's going to make things it's going to be very helpful and make things flow a lot better. And as I've said for a long time, my goal here is to be self-sufficient, and all the processes, own the process from start to finish. And in a lot of ways we do that. Like our calves are born here. We feed them out, and then when they're 2 years old, we process them here, right? We have a butcher shop and process them here. I cut them up. We package the steaks or grind the hamburger and package that. I just had 2 hamburgers about that big that my daughter made for me, and they were scrumptious. They were great. And that'll do me till tomorrow morning. So I can fast all this time until tomorrow, and I'll be really in good shape. So it sustains me, it sustains my family, and then we have extra to pass on to our neighbors to sell, trade, whatever. And it's really a good thing. We own the whole process, but I want to make the process easier. So that's what I'm working on. I want to make it more efficient. I am fortifying my position. You know, I'm making my process cleaner and more efficient and sharper and all that stuff. So that's what I'm working on. But because of all this negative stuff that's going on, I was getting stuck thinking about it. And then I'd say, well, I'm not going to think about it anymore. And then the next thing you hear is, well, Friday is the International Day of Rage. And you could have people driving up your driveway with AKs, or they could be flying in on kites or something. That's what they're saying. And when I thought about it, it's like, I don't think so. I had to get a hold of myself and say, you know, focus on what you have to get done, run your family correctly, and let things that are out of your control work themselves out, because you really don't have any control. You know, I could be calling my friends and saying, don't you think that's terrible? That's just terrible. And I did a little of that. I mostly trying to decipher whether what we saw was, would IDF do that? Would a professional military force do that? How could that happen? And then you find out that, you know, Israel's got a lot of political problems, just like we have in this country. And, you know, if everybody's attention gets on this, it takes the attention off the political woes of the country. But then I said, wait a minute, not going to do it anymore. I want to shut down those pathways of negativity and open up pathways of productivity. And I said at the time, as I'm making this video, you know, I'm just off the cuff. I said that I want to shut down the pathways of negativity and open up the pathways of productivity. And when you think about the pathways of negativity, what does that lead to? It leads to poor thought, poor time management, poor nutrition. You get really bummed out. I think I'll drink a bottle of whiskey. That doesn't help, because a bottle of whiskey costs you $20 and you're going to be hungover for 3 days. Things like that. I don't do that, but I mean, some people do. Or just negative conversation. There's people that immerse themselves in a storyline that's out there, and that becomes their life. And I've seen that when I was overseas. You really miss America. You really miss it. And you're back in those days, we didn't have phones, so you couldn't just call. We had landlines, and if you wanted to call home, you had to make an appointment to call home, and it was really a hassle to call. The whole time I was overseas, I called home twice, and I was lucky. And you really miss home, but they have Armed Forces Radio and Television Service, AFARTS, they call it. And at the time, they were airing a show that was on back then. This is in the 80s, right? And it wasn't a sitcom. It was like a soap opera at night, and it was kind of adult themed, you know. And I didn't like it, you know. I didn't get AFARTS. I lived off the base, so I didn't get it. And I wouldn't have watched it anyway, because I'm not into that stuff. But the kids that lived on the base, or the airmen that lived on the base, they were kids. We were all kids. They would watch that, and they would look forward to it. Hey, you guys want to play softball tonight? No. We got to watch Dallas. What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you didn't hear last week? somebody shot JR. So we got to find out who shot JR. Well, you didn't actually find out. But anyway, I mean, I don't think I watched one. I might have been at somebody's house and it was on, and I saw, well, it wasn't that the guy that was on I Dream of Jeannie, whatever. It wasn't my thing, and it's still, I'm not into those things. But at the time, when we would be at the shop the next day, at the duty section I worked out of, guys would be talking about it, and somebody would say, well, I think so and so shot AR, and they'd get in each other's face. No, she couldn't have done it. No, she was on vacation in the Bahamas. She couldn't have done it. And they'd actually get upset with each other over something that happened on this show. A show with a script, make believe. Right? And I thought, this is dumb. And I said, you guys know that people write this. Your arguing is not going to change who shot so and so. It's make believe, okay? And they would kind of poo-poo me. Yeah, well, you don't watch it. You live off base, And so I just have to shake my head and walk away. And I remember when I finally broke out of that, I said, well, I don't watch it because I actually have a part-time job. I was working on Aero Club airplanes, little 152s and 172s, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I had a side hustle, and I worked there about 4 nights a week, and I really liked it. And so I didn't have time for watching TV. I don't think I would have watched it anyway because it's make believe, right? And I think that a lot of this that's going on, even if this is a highly emotional thing. I mean, we're talking about people, young people. I see it on Facebook. I have a Facebook friend, and he's posting every day the bios of these young women, mostly, that were murdered. And it's amazing that they're all babes, every single one of them. But and it could pull at somebody's heartstrings. It could. I've kind of let it go. It's not my thing. And so what I did was I said, no, I'm going to focus on what I can do. And what I can do is I got to get this rail built. I need this rail built because I need it for Homestead hog harvest. I need it for my bull is a real nuisance, and I want to knock him down and get some more beef in the freezer. So that's what I need to do. And when I started to just throw myself into it, all of a sudden I realized very quickly that there was really nothing I can do about what's going on in the Middle East. Like nothing. I can pray. Oh God, please get this straightened out. I don't know who's right, who's wrong. I don't want to go down the good guys, bad guys. Oh, kill all these guys and bless all these. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I started to kind of listen to myself, and I said, okay, then do the thing. And what is the thing? A lot of times you guys hear me say, I'm quoting Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he said, if you do the thing, you will have the power. If you don't do the thing, you surely will not have the power. So when I make videos, I'm just holding my phone up and making a video. It's really impromptu. I don't say, well, I've got to make a video tomorrow at 8:03 and it's got to be about this. Usually I'm doing the thing. I need to build this rail. I need this rail because I want to butcher beef easier, faster, cleaner. I want to be able to do it by myself. My kids are fleeting. I've got a 12 and a 14-year-old here, but I can see the end of that. That's coming because my older kids, they're gone. And, it's kind of a big deal when I need help. I got to schedule it with them because they got jobs, families, and lives. I can't just expect them come help me all the time. So my beef butchering, I got to have it so one guy can do it, and a power winch and a nice rail and things like that will make it so I can do it myself. It's really not hard work once you learn how to do it. It's almost work that you can kind of stand in one place, sharpen your knife, skin a little bit, knock a hoof off, skin a little bit more. It's good work. And it's productive. I mean, you do a beef, and the numbers on it it's very good. I mean, there's a very good gain in having mastered the process of being able to butcher a beef. Mastered, define that. Well, I can make hamburger pretty good. Oh, okay. Well, but if you do the thing, you will have the power. And I think the power is the ability to press on, keep going, to keep going. If I was explaining this to Jill because she had some questions about things, and I said, well, I don't do functions on this farm to fulfill a video that I'm going to do. I'm doing the function, and then I just videotape what I'm doing. So it's really easy to do, because if you are building something, first you have to think it through for a while. You have to gather up the pieces of it. So it takes time. And by the time you get ready to make a video so I can share with everybody else, it's show and tell. I've done the thing already, and now I'm just sharing it. And there's power in that for me, because when you have a lot of people, like the video that I made the day before yesterday, I was really surprised that 1,500 people saw that video. I was really surprised. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that I don't think they watch it and say, well, I hate that guy. I don't think so, because you wouldn't watch it. You would just. So I'm thinking there's probably a positive feeling. And so, okay, we can dwell on what these bad guys did to a bunch of people, and maybe murdered 1,500 people, or we can focus on a path of productivity and positively affect 1,500 people. Two totally different things. And even in the midst of really hard times right now that I think Americans are going through, how can you not? I mean, you think about that, how horrible that would be. It was kind of like when 9/11 happened. You know, we're told 3,000 people died. Could be. I don't know how that happened. You know, our skies are supposed to be very secure. I know they are, but not that day. They weren't. They were so insecure that very low tech guys with box cutters were able to get through. I don't know. I have a hard time with that. And I work for that agency. And it's strange. You'd think, well, why didn't you say something to somebody? I did. And you think people are going to say, oh, hey, Sergeant Baker said that. They're like, shut up. Get back in your cubicle. Shut up. I mean, I even called my father, and I said, hey, I don't think I don't like the way this is going. And he says, you better just shut up, you know, because you can, you know, things are at a higher level, and I'm a very low level person, and you know, if it was a decision was made, let's say in Israel, to do a stand down for 6 hours, there's nothing I can do about that, especially after it's over. You can't do anything about it. It's done. So what can I do? Well, I can finish this rail. And possibly someday we'll even do a beef harvest class here, and we'll be using that rail. I had the pleasure this week of getting messages from people that have come to our classes, Homestead Hog Harvest class, which is coming up. I mentioned that already. And, uh, in one case, I texted a guy and I said, "Hey, do you need this? I have some of this stuff. Do you need it?" He says, "Well, I'm not working today. I'm at home and we're butchering pigs." And I thought, "Oh, that's pretty good." We helped them in the process of getting to the place where they were able to do it and building their confidence and stuff. I had something to do with it, I'm sure, because this guy took our class. And then there was another guy the week before that did the same thing. Him and his wife did the same thing. And he sent some pictures. He said, "Look what we did." And I felt pretty good about that. Not like, "Hey, look at me." It was more like, okay, what we did was worth it. It was worth it. We have to make sacrifices to make this happen. And we feel it's going to have a good effect. And then you see the evidence and you say, good. Yeah, there's my answer right there. A lot of times when you're making sacrifices and you get to a point where you say, "I don't know if I should be doing this." Um, when you think about stopping to do it, you get an uneasy feeling. So I think that's a way of your gut telling you that you're on the right path and you should just stay with it. Okay. So I think when you might be hearing what I'm saying and you say, "Okay, well, I do want to find those pathways to productivity. How do I find them? How do I find those pathways?" I can see people saying, looking at what I'm doing. Okay. I do consulting. And I didn't start out by saying, "Well, I want to be a consultant. Let's see, what do I want to consult on?" Homesteading. So I'll get good at homesteading and I'll be a consultant. No, it didn't work that way. I was homesteading while I was still in the service. And it was sort of a relief valve when I'd leave work and I'd come home and I would milk a goat. It would be like, "Ooh, this is so much better than what I'm all about at work." I'm a different person and that's what I want. So that's how I got into it. And then we came here and I thought, well, I like homesteading. Let's be farmers. And that didn't really work out because the modern farming is very specialized. It's very political. You're working with agencies that are very unprofessional. Department of Agriculture, and things like that. And it wasn't what I thought it would be. And so we're away from that now. We're back in homesteading or small farms, and it's different because we own the whole process, like, or we own as much of the process as we can. So let's say pastured poultry, we get chicks, baby chicks. Now I could have a flock and create my own chicks, but I don't because I just haven't got there yet. We buy our baby chicks, we build our own chicken tractors, we design our own chicken tractors, we operate them, we take the chickens to a place where they're the right size, so many weeks, and then we have a processing facility, and we know how to process as well. So we got good at this by doing it. And then people will say, "Hey, you know what? I'd hire you to come in my place and tell me where to start." And over the years, I've realized what an essential function that is. Because after all, If you come to my house and I show you how to butcher a pig, that's consulting. It's a class, and we're consulting with 15 people at a time, but that's consulting. And then when I'm showing people how to cut here, they may say, how do you get these knives so sharp? I'll show you. You're paying for the class. I'll show you how I do it. Wow. Now I know how to sharpen a knife too. Yeah. I wasn't born knowing how to sharpen a knife. I had to at one point say, this knife is dull. How do you sharpen this? And my dad said, here's a stone. And I sat down with it. I couldn't get it. And then he showed me, and I would get knives so sharp when I was a kid, I could actually shave the back of my hand. I don't spend that much time on them now, but I can do it. But when you come and you get instruction from somebody, you get way more than just learning how to cut a pig. Of course, that's a pretty big thing, right? So consulting is big. It is really big. And I am doing a consulting right now with a fella who's an expert, an absolute expert at his career field. So much so that when he told me what he did for a living, I was like floored. Whoa, lives near me. I'm glad to know you because of what he knows how to do. I'm going to just hang on to it right there. And he says, well, maybe you can help kind of show me what I could do with my place. And I went over there and looked at it, and I realized, not a dumb guy. It's a husband and wife. They're both smart, both have very high paying, a lot of education goes into their career field, and they've mastered it, I suppose. But there's so much that they don't know. And how could they know? You've spent all this time getting yourself educated to do this one function. You don't know about grazing cattle. You don't know about building fences. You don't know about any of that stuff. What do you put the fence on with? And I could hear somebody saying, this guy's so dumb, he doesn't even know what size staples to use. How could he? So consulting is huge. It really is huge. Okay, so what was I going to say? What? Oh, yeah. When you approach this, if you approach it with the idea that there is so much that I don't know, like even though I was for a long time, whoa. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And it's not that sinking feeling about what I don't know. It's, wow, I get to learn all this new stuff too. I get to keep going. I get to keep learning, right? And when you consult with people, like let's say you go to someone else's property and you got to start scratching your head thinking, where would I put fences here? Oh, okay. It's wet over there. It's high over here. They've got a pond over here. They've got a sluice over here. Oh, okay. We're going to want to do this. It's actually very stimulating to do that. And you realize how deep this career field is. It's vast. I'm losing it. Somebody help me. Where was I going? Yeah, I just walked up to the edge of the cliff and I saw the Grand Canyon out there that I get to explore, and it just blew me away. That's what happened. Pathways. How do you find the pathways? How do you find them? Because when I do consulting and I go to somebody's place and they're obviously masterful in another area, it makes me back up and think, well, I wonder what it looks like to them when they come to my house, my farm. What does it look like? Do they feel, is it making them feel overwhelmed? Because you look at this snapshot of a farm that's organized, and it functions well. It fits together. It's kind of bucolic. Animals here, animals there. Everybody's where they're supposed to be. Everybody appears to be happy. There's systems in place to keep people busy all the time. And from the trainee's point of view, I think it could seem a little overwhelming. Wow, look at he's built this, he's built this, this, and this. And every one of the things for here's an example. I'll give you an example. Every one of the things that you see when you come here, like if you came here for Homestead Hog Harvest, you will see some phone poles that were installed in the ground, and me and my kids did it. We did it with our tractor and an extension on the bucket and a post hole digger. And then we had to break through concrete, and I've got a little jackhammer. I wasn't born with a jackhammer. I had to realize that I needed it, and then find one, and then afford it, and then get it. Never really did it before, but hey, it breaks through the concrete. That's pretty cool. And now I have it. So if I need to break through concrete again sometime, not a problem. I can break through the concrete. So that was a pathway that I discovered, right? That big heavy beam that you guys saw that I made, right? I called Parker and I said, well, I need to make a beam. And I think I want to use 2x8s and, this, that, I think. I never built a beam before. How would I know? So I'm searching for this pathway. To what? To build a beam. And my search was right here. I thought it up. I will take 4 2x8s and I will put them together. I'll put glue in between the 2x8s. I'll screw them together and I'll have a beam. And it should hold 2 tons if I have a 14-foot clear span between. I just guessed. I figured it was way overbuilt. But I called Parker and I told him what I need. And he says, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm building a beam. How much do you want to hold? I think I need to hold about 2 tons between it. He says, oh, okay, well, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. He gets back to me and he says, nope, you're going to need 3 2x12s and they need to be 12 feet long and you need to stagger the joints. And he came last week, Tuesday, right here. Here it is right here. And he drew this up for me as like 3 minutes before I came on to talk to you all. So this is like a treasure map to that pathway. And he brought the lumber with him too. So what did I do Friday? I went down there Friday, actually Thursday night, before I went to sleep. I started thinking, how am I going to build this? Like, I see it on paper, but I don't have a table big enough to put that on. So how am I going to do this? I'm joining 12-foot boards together. This beam is 24 feet long. How do I do this? And I start, okay, like I could use a sawhorse. I could use 2. I could use 3. And then I'll modify the sawhorse so I could butt 2 of these 2x12s up. So I'm thinking this all up before I go to sleep. Next morning, I get up, I hit the ground running. Was that Friday? No. It was Wednesday. So I didn't have to milk that day. I hit the ground running. I had to go out to get some liquid nails. I did. And I got some screws when I was out. And I came back and I built that beam. And then I came in and I looked at this and I said, oh, he wanted me to put some bolts on that too. So then I went back to the store and I bought 18 bolts that were 7 inches long, because they're 2 by 12s, and I sandwiched 3 of them together. So I had a 6-inch beam, 6 by 12. And then I bolted every place where there was a seam. I bolted on both sides of it. So I drilled a hole, put this big long bolt through, put a washer on both sides, and cranked it down. So the adhesive, the construction adhesive, was pushing out in between the cracks. But so I found that pathway to build that beam. And that beam is just, it's just a component. It's just a, I don't want to minimize it. It's a component. It's like butchering a cow, you got to have a knife. It's a component. Without a knife, oh, you're going to struggle butchering a beef. You would struggle. So a knife is a good thing, but it's not the only thing, right? So you need all these things, right? That's why it's nice to go to consulting, because you can see it happen in front of you and you can make a list of the things that you need. So on the day that you're going to butcher your first cow, you go out there, you got your trusty, blunderpuss or whatever you're going to shoot it with. I mean, that's kind of nice to know what to shoot it with. But you go out there and say, oh, I don't have any bullets. If you had a list, you would have had bullets on the list. So, I mean, there's all these things. But before you even get there, you've got to find the pathway to it, the pathway to success, pathway to progress. Without the pathway identified, good luck. Good luck. I mean, butchering cattle isn't the most difficult. It's not brain surgery, but I reckon brain surgery probably isn't that really that hard, honestly. If you get good training doing it, it's probably not that hard at all. I mean, you don't have to be strong, I don't think. But those guys, they're pretty smart guys. Anyway, but this pathway, this treasure map, is an example of how you do this, how you do this. Like, where do you start? And what frame of mind do you need to be? So I could see this one guy that I'm helping right now, him coming here and saying, wow, he's got a welder over there. He's got oxygen acetylene. He's got all these cutting tools. He's able to do all these things. I don't know how to do any of those things. And being overwhelmed. I could see that. And so I try to temper what I'm saying. And in this particular case, I said, okay, so what direction do you want to go? I've kind of given you the overall picture of your property, what you could do here. What do you want to do? Where do you want to start? What species do you want to start with? Do you want to even do livestock still after I talk to you about it? Do you even want to? And he's like, yeah. I said, okay. Step 1 in your path to progress, cut fence posts. As I was walking the guy's property, I noticed that he had a lot of cedar out there. Cedar is, goes in swamps, and we routinely go and cut cedar down and utilize it as fence posts. And so I said, that's what you want to do. And I was able to say to him, cut them at 7 feet. You want them about this big at the base to about this big at the base, right? And those trees are really forgiving. If you cut them off at the bottom, usually 7 feet up, there's your first post, and keep going until it's just too thin and you can't use it. And all that can be just chipped, or you can make brush piles. And I mean, this is all stuff that you tell somebody, because how would they know? How would they know? So you're guiding them into the first pathway. And then along the way, if the guy's out there cutting his fence posts, he's going to say, wow, I didn't even notice these before. Well, how could you? Why would you? You didn't know that that was a good choice of tree for a fence post. How would you know that? But now you do. And that sets a man to thinking, oh, you mean so some trees are better than other trees? Yeah. You never thought of that, did you? No, I didn't. Well, now you are. And that's good. So we've sent you down this road, and you're starting to discover things. And one discovery leads to another discovery, and another discovery, and another discovery. So you see the difference, the contrast between pathways of success and pathways of not success, or what would they be? Of destruction, pathways of destruction. In some ways, pathways of destruction, they kind of work like that too. Like, well, because you're spending so much time doing this, that your mental state is not good. And so I know what'll make me feel good. I'll get a bottle of Jack Daniels, and you get that. And then the next thing you know, you got a DUI, or you're in jail, or you ran over somebody, or you had an act, and then life gets even more complex. How do you dig yourself out of that hole? It gets way more complex. I've seen that happen to guys before. And it was not an immediate thing. It was gradual. It was gradual going down that road. And it doesn't have to be all alcohol related. It's just that being a serviceman, young men tend to get a little depressed when they're away from home in foreign countries and in uncomfortable conditions. I see copperheads watching. He's probably saying, yeah, you're in the Air Force. What, your air conditioner was down that day? Yeah, I'm sure. But they get a little depressed, and then they do dumb stuff. And it happens. So I don't think that should be going on in your homesteading career, for sure. But things do happen. You come out in the morning and half of your chickens are dead. Well, that's a bummer. I think I'll go get some Jack Daniels. And then on the way home, you run over somebody. Well, now your life is not a homesteading life. Now it's a prison life. See? Or you can do something else. Hey, I've got a problem. Half my chickens are dead. Call somebody. Call somebody who knows, right? Buy some consulting. Buy it. Hire somebody who knows what you need to do, because there is solutions for everything. None of this has to happen. None of these bad things has to happen. What did I have happen recently? Oh, well, I had a couple things, actually. I'm a real lover of goats, and I have these two little goats. And I got them for Tribe Day. I wanted to put them in the petting zoo so kids could pet them. And I've just fallen in love with them. I just love them. And the other day, I'm sitting talking to a guy about some farm things, and this little goat comes over, puts his head in my lap, and falls fast asleep. Like, just such a nice little goat. And I was telling the guy that, oh yeah, you can eat these things, And then, but these little goats like to hang out on the back porch right here. And this is where we walk through in the morning, and we go on the back porch. It's dark still. And if they're hanging out on the back porch, they leave lots of pellets out there, lots of doots. And I mean, thousands. It's just two little goats in a few hours. They leave thousands of them out there. And I did get a little frustrated. It's like, well, then I just got to knock these goats off. I mean, that's kind of my old way of thinking. And then I couldn't see myself doing it. There's not enough there to really eat. They're very small and they're nice little animals to have around. And so I had a problem and I had to come up with a solution to it. And it was not hard to figure out. I just got some hog panels and I cordoned it off so they couldn't get in there. And if they can't get in there, they can't manure in there. And it led me to think there's probably other things that I could do to keep them out of there. There's other things. I could put some electric fence up around it. And as soon as they get buzzed, I could take the electric fence down. And I go out there to go swimming in the morning in my skivvies and I lean up against an electric fence. That would start my day off with a bang. It probably, you get up in the morning and you go in a pool that's 48 degrees and you stay in there for a couple minutes. So when you get out, your furnace is lit. And half a cup of coffee later, you're ready to go. I was going to tell you, when I made that video the other day and I was trying to talk people out of getting bummed out about all this stuff, saying focus on the good stuff, focus on your pathways of productivity, it took root in me because this morning, 6 o'clock, I was awake. I didn't wake up thinking, well, I'll get up and go and then I'll lay around in bed for a little while because it's dark out after all. You can't do anything when it's dark out. No, I said, of course I can do stuff. That's what lights are for. And I got up and I did my swim in the dark and got dressed and I was outside rocking when it was just barely light and it was really nice. I really had control of the day and I got a lot done. I got a lot done on my project that I'm working on, and other projects too. For me, working projects, I will try to set a goal. Okay, I'm going to have that hole dug today, and you'll think, well, that shouldn't be too hard to dig a hole. Yeah, I got other stuff to do too, but I'm going to get that done. I'm going to go get that pole. Put a chain on it. I'm going to drop it down in that hole. And I get that done. It's like, whoa, I think I'm going to start jackhammering this hole. And before you know it, I've gotten a lot of things done that, more than I thought I'd get done. So there you go. There you go. Okay. Yeah. So just by making that video and trying to communicate pathways of progress, it worked for me because instead of thinking, oh, it's going to be Jihad Tuesday, maybe I need to be ready, come on. And focusing on that, I'm focusing on, something, when I get this rail done, it's going to lead to some great things. And maybe you guys don't quite get this, but if you can butcher your own beef, all right, so these calves, I keep them here for 2 years. And by the time 2 years is up, they're big steers. And if you can process that steer, you're ahead minimum $5,000. Minimum. If you can get that processed, whether it goes in your freezer and you eat it, or it goes in your freezer and you sell half of it, you're still ahead minimum $5,000. So let's say you did 10 of them a year, so it's not exactly like I've got to get this built because I want to get my picture on Facebook with it. No, it's working for the good of this farming operation, because things have to be productive. We're not going to spend a lot of time working on something that is, decorative. although I love decorative things, I like that stuff. I like things to look a certain way, but I'm not at the place where I can say, oh, well, we're just going to paint today. And we can't really do that. Not yet. At some point, and we do a little bit of painting, but no, we're still in the building mode. I'm figuring I'll have just about everything done in 2 years. Everything that I want built, I'll have it done, and then I'll build some more. So let's see. Have we got any questions here or any kind of input that I need to comment on? I'm talking to you about consulting, right? There's fair trade in everything that we do. If you want to talk to a lawyer, you pay that lawyer for his time because he's good at what he does. If you want to hire an artist, if you want to hire a, they're paid for their time. So in a consultant that consults with you on snowmobiles or wine or homesteading, if they're good, they ask what they need to be paid. And usually they say, like, well, if I go to your house, then I'm not here. And if I'm not here, I'm losing money. So you got to make it worth my while to go. So that's how we come up with our consulting rates. And there was a time when it was just a royal pain for me to consult with somebody for an hour at their place for $100. It was a royal pain because I'm still losing money. And I didn't want to go any place without Jill. So it took her day too. So now it's charge more. But if you are a Tribe Plus member, right? Now we're not letting anybody into the Tribe Plus. We've closed registration on it because we're thinking about, okay, where do we want to go with this and what do we want to do? I believe that access to us is valuable. And if you are Tribe Plus member, then you get access to us. Like tomorrow night is our consulting call. Wednesday night, 8:00, Zoom call. It's fun. I look forward to it. And, we talk. It's just like you're here at the table and people ask questions and, what do you think about this? And I'll just go on. And other people in the group have ideas that are way different than mine. And so there's a lot of information that gets thrown out there. Very good thing. Very productive. I like it a lot. All right. So I think joining up to Tribe Plus would be a good idea. There's 35 people on the waiting list right now, and we have to come up with an idea of what we want to charge for it. So we're on hold right now. Anybody that was in before, of course, you can come to the Zoom calls on Wednesday nights, every other Wednesday night. And we didn't plan it that way. That's just kind of the way it's worked out. And I said, okay, if we have to go every Wednesday night, then we will. But we really don't have all that many people taking advantage of it. Jill sends an email out or a text message out so you know that the call will be in, let's say, a half hour. So you either tune in or you don't. All right, Sonia's with us. Right on. Oh, Sonia, we are freeze drying fools around here. That machine is running constantly now. David Duncan, always prepare, especially when the times are good and the news is quiet. Keep doing the thing. I totally agree. I'm a preparedness junkie. Copperhead's with us. Pushing wind. David Duncan, the beam of the future is bright. Yeah. Try taking hydrolyzed collagen times 3 servings, 1.5 teaspoons, lysine pollen by Our body and mind will be at peace. Sounds interesting. The ghost says, haven't had a cell phone for over 12 years now, or a TV for over 16. Wow. TB. I know people do it, but I don't think I'd trust a beam that was jointed, not unless there was a post at the joint. Now, what do you know? Same as those plywood joists that are used now. You don't know nothing. You think Parker doesn't know what he's talking about there, Ghost? Come on. Hilltop Home Place. Thought I'd join in. I wonder if this is... No, it couldn't be. We met some people the other day. We processed chickens for them, and they have a farm called Hillhoff. But Hilltop Home Place is different. So, yeah, welcome. Welcome. Glad you could come. All right. Well, we've been on an hour and 9 minutes. It feels like I was on longer. And I feel like I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Let's see. When I picked the subjects, like picking a subject today was a little bit of a struggle. And usually it's like there's a smorgasbord out there and I can, no problem. Oh, yeah. But sometimes I feel like, well, what if this is the last time we get to meet? What if there's a power down? What if the internet pooches? What if, all this other crazy stuff is happening? It could happen. It could happen. So I want to give the best information that I can that would be the most useful at this time. And that's how I came up with this one. And sometimes you have a subject that, you have a really good feeling of how you'd present it. But then when it comes out, it doesn't sound quite right to the presenter. But this one, I think, it came out okay. I would recap it by saying, do the thing, you will have the power. By doing the thing, you will find the pathways to productivity and wealth and health and welfare and all that stuff. You find them, but you got to be looking for them. If you're looking for a pathway, you better be looking, and you will find it if you seek it. All right. I'm going to get going because I had a long one. I'm definitely going to get in bed early tonight so I can hit it again tomorrow. I'm looking forward to, I've got some really interesting things that I'm putting on this. And I had a guy come over, a milk customer. He says, hey, I want to take a look at that. And I was telling him, I got this little problem, though. I'm afraid that when I'm putting pressure on that rail, and it's not directly in line with the correct angle, which would be straight down, I'm afraid I might tweak that rail. And he says, oh, yeah, well, you just need to put a pulley down here and throw it around that pulley, and then drag that cow straight to it. And then you can take it off the pulley to pick him up. Man, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And that problem, right? It was a problem that I was, like a mathematical problem. I had a problem and I'm trying to search for a solution. And this guy says, oh, put a pulley down here. They call it a snatch block. Put a snatch block down here, and then you can pull them straight over. Bingo. Yeah. All right. David says, jointed metal parts. Jointed metal works good on aircraft. Pops and I used to make panels for the military. 2 sheets of metal with stainless honeycomb in between is super strong. Something jointed is stronger. Yeah, on my 2x12s, I staggered all the joints, and yeah, I think we're gonna be fine. Ghost is giving me a hard time. I know. I know. Remember on Gulliver's Travel, that guy that would be always saying, "It'll never work." That's Ghost. He's trying to run me down, trying to hit me with them negative waves. It ain't gonna work, Ghost. It ain't gonna work. I'm staying positive. Yep. I'm gonna take a shower with warm water tonight. I got it made. All right. I gotta get going. I'll see you guys. Uh Join us for the consulting call tomorrow. And when we open up registration, be the first in line to get your Tribe Plus membership. I hope I see some of you this weekend down at the Clerics. And if you haven't signed up for the Homestead Hog Harvest and you plan to, please do it. Do it. All right. Sayonara.